Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Cleo. Today I will be sharing with you this new launch product coming from Montech. And on my left, this is the Metal 120 PWM fans. And on my right, this is the air cooler known as the Metal DT24 base. For today's video, I will cover on the fans first, and on the next video, I will be talking about this air cooler. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Montech to have provided all this for me to share with my viewers, and also to Block Soda who did the arrangement to ship this to me. Let's begin. First off, with the unboxing of the Metal 120 PWM. And inside this box, it contains four black fan screws. Oh, okay. I believe these are radiator screws, four of which. And the fan itself. The first impression when I pull out the fans, right, it's very sturdy. Okay, that's about all, and you can see all the specs over here. Okay, the fan does not flex, that's a good thing. I like the part whereby they place the rubber grommets on all sides, which I think in modern fans nowadays they have all this rubber grommets. And from the front, this is the Montech logo and all the description as in the voltage, the amperage and such. Oh, okay, this is running at 0.12 ampere, which is pretty low. Let's see how it performs. And it's running on 12 DC. I will go into the specs later. And as for the fins itself, wow, okay, it's very smooth. Looking at it, right, it doesn't wobble. That's the good part. And there's some logo over here, and the mechanism of it I'll show you on the dashboard itself. And there are a total of 9 fin stacks, if I'm not wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that's right. Another thing worth mentioning is that this is able to do daisy chain from one fan to another if you have other sets, which I will be showing you later as I'm going to test the performance of these fans. These fans caught hold of my attention. Reason being, right, the first feeling when I unbox it, it feels rigid. And the blade itself doesn't wobble. Surprisingly, it's running on 0.12 ampere with 9 blades. I believe this is actually a performance fans. And to my surprise, when I dig into it, right, this fans only costs about $9.99 USD, which convert into Singapore, there'll be less than $15. So having this all thought in mind, dig deep into it and find out that, wow, the structure is in fact amazing. They were mentioning that they have this 6 pole, which I'm going to test the performance. I believe that this will increase the rotation of the fan blades using less current, because you have more magnetic coils to drive the fan blade that has a magnetic ring inside. Now, as mentioned on the website itself, their official website, saying that these are high-end hydraulic dynamic bearing fans. So going to test the noise later and to share with you. Looking at the specs itself, another point that draws my attention is it does not only come with a 120mm variant, which I'm having. It does have a 140mm variant, which I'm going to request if it's applicable, and I'll share it with you guys again on the results. Now, based on the 120mm fans itself, right, the fan speed starts at 800 RPM and the max speed is at 1950 RPM, which is plus 10, minus 10. And as mentioned, these are hydraulic bearing fans, or should I say hydraulic dynamic bearing fans. And the motor is using 6 pole. The voltage itself is 12 volt, PWM daisy chain, and the cable length of the fan cables, right, is at 550 millimeters. And as mentioned down here, the CFM is 69, and the static pressure and such on. And the noise level, it seems very low, which I'm going to check it out later. And the lifespan is at 40K. Let's proceed on with the methodology of this test. Something to add on with this fans here, if you have not noticed, right, there is this silver lining around the fan. And if you were to put it in the case build itself, or should I say a PC build, this add aesthetic to it. And another thing that I noticed, the fans here doesn't have any gaps. See, these are the fan gaps, and I believe this will help by securing the fan, as in like no no holes, so concentrating air focus when it's drawing or exhausting air. And another thing is that it's easier to clean. Now in this test itself, I'll be using this system here, which is my 7950X processor. Gonna run PBO2 configuration, which I'm going to show you at the dashboard. Take a look at the room temperature right now. It's 29.5 degrees Celsius. Throughout the whole run, you will be witnessing this temperature over here, or if you can see it. Anyway, the first 30 minutes run that I'm going to use the Cinebench R23 test to test on the default fans, which are these are the Arctic P12, PWM, PST, CO fans. These are the ball bearing fans, which has a rating of 0.08 ampere. Gonna apply this on the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2 360, which is mounted over here. Oh, speaking of which, right, I am not using thermal paste. If you guys know that I normally use the thermal pad. Okay, hang on. This is what I'm talking about, the thermal pad. So for equal comparison between the fans, first 30 minutes run, I will run this. I should say that I will run 10 minutes to let it warm up. Then the next 30 minutes I will record it down. Then I will swap the fans to the Montech Metal 120 PWM, 3 of which. Again, I'm going to run 10 minutes test, then to record on the actual 30 minutes test. As you can see on my right, the system is up and running with all the default Arctic fans on the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2 360. And this is the temperature itself. Now on the actual test itself, this might be very small, but you can witness the lightings over here. Taking you to the UEFI of this system here, I'll be using a 7950X processor on a Steel Legend X670E. Now, having to say this, right, I have done only the PBO2, sorry, I should say the Expo profile on my RAMs, which is this. I'm using the Expo 6000, and this is a G-Skill RAM DDR5. Then other than that, right, the external voltage settings, I've actually done all on auto. I've not touched on it. The only thing that I've touched is only two areas. One is the PBO2, which I'm going to show you right now. And as you can see, the PBO2 is all over here. These are my settings. I am targeting about 4.9 to 5 gigahertz on the processor itself when it runs at full load. Then on the curve optimizer, I'm using -20. So these are the PBO2 settings that I've done. Then on hardware info itself, right now, as you can see, I do not have any fans except for the radiator fans, which, okay, let's see the radiator fans. So having to say this, right, it's going to run at full speed, and this Arctic fans is running at a max of 1800 RPM, 10 or minus or plus, I should say. So you will just hover at this rating, which I'm going to show you on the actual Cinebench itself. And for my, okay, I should switch this to water pump. Now for my pump itself, I will set it to full speed. Same goes to my radiator fans. So that's all that I have set. And now I'm going to save this and to boot to Windows and to show you the legend itself. Okay, this is as usual because I wasn't on the internet itself, or should I say I am, but I've locked it. Alright, first off, without any interruption, right, I wouldn't want any updates or such on Windows. That's why I disabled the Wi-Fi. I'll be using Cinebench R23, which you can see over here. Now this will be on the full screen itself, or I will just show you what you need to see. I'll be running first 10 minutes as mentioned to you, so I'll just let it run. Then I will be showing you the stats over here. which I'm using Valley. As you can see, all the stats over here. Now with this said, right, all these readings that you probably need to take note is the CPU temperature, then followed by the clock speed, which I targeted at 5 gigahertz, which, okay, this is 5 gigahertz. Then look at the power drawn, the package power. Take note on the PPT, TDC, and the EDC, where this is the weakness that I've not tempered during the run itself, and I'll just let it run. Same goes to the Montech P120. Sorry, it's not P. I should say the Montech 120 PWM fans. So during the test, right, take note on this. And of course, during the test, you won't be seeing any motion graphics. It will be on still picture, which is, I mean, not still picture as in like, I just want to show you the stats, so wouldn't want to confuse you with the motion, so you can concentrate on all the stats over here. Alright, besides this, right, I will be launching the graph as a second gauge. Okay, let me just pull the CPU settings. So this graph will always be down here for you to glance. Okay, and also the camera itself, where is it? Okay, this one. I'll place it over here so you will know that this is in fact what fan it is. So these are the P12. So I'll run and to show you. Of course, I'm not going to show you this, 10 minutes that I warm up. Later on, when I do the 30 minutes, right, I'll do the actual run. So here we go. Before showing you the results, I'd like you to listen to the noise generated by these two fans, the Arctic and the Montech. Do note that they will be running at full load, which is their max RPM, during this noise test. And if the volume is too low to listen to the noise itself, make sure that you tune it up at a level where you can hear it and leave the level there so that you can do a fair comparison between the Arctic and the Montech. For those of you who actually listen to the earphones and headset, if it is too loud, kindly lower down the volume to a certain level, fix at that level, and to compare the noise. As you can see, the two diagrams over here, right, it will be a live feed that I'll be showing you. Take a look at the microphone itself. It's away from the fan about 1 feet. And in the test itself, I will be switching 5 seconds on Arctic to let you listen to the noise. Then I'll switch to Montech 5 seconds again, and back to Arctic, and go back to Montech. So each will have 2 times you can listen to the audio. If you want to listen again, right, you got to rewind my video. Let's begin. The results are out, and as you can see that these are taken off from the recordings itself, the live recording. If I were to click on the play button, right, you can see that all the figures are moving, so it's easier for me to explain. Now, I have deliberately cut the last 15 minutes. As you can see, the 30 minutes run, right, this is the last 15 minutes for Arctic, and this is the last 15 minutes for Montech. Reason why I've cut to the 15 minutes, because the first 15 minutes, right, this is whereby the 7950X will calculate how much cooling that it can provide to the processor itself. Then it will calculate the cooling itself and to draw the power from the motherboard and to pump the clock speed. So this is how 7950X work. Now on the left itself, as mentioned, this is Arctic. These are all the specification. It's running on 12 volt, similar to the Montech, which is 12 volt. The amperage is slightly lower on Arctic, which is 0.08 ampere, and for Montech, right, it's running on 0.12 ampere, which is 0.04 ampere more. And based on the 0.04 ampere more, right, as I mentioned about the motor mechanism itself, surprisingly that on the actual test, right, though the RPM is stated max at 1950, over here is running at 2K, which is like above the specs. And as for Arctic, right, though it's stated as 1800, but it's running below 1800, which is hovering around 1780, 1790. Now, do note that this Arctic here, right, which I'm in favor of, I like these fans, but the thing is that as newer technology goes by, right, there will be better fans. And surprisingly that this Montech Metal 120, which is so cheap, I mean, based on the US pricing, which is about $10 US pricing, and if I were to convert to Singapore, right, it's $15. So as compared to the $12 Arctic itself, right, I don't mind to pay $3 more just to get this fan. Now, the reason is, take a look at the temperature of the Arctic and the Montech. So if I have to run, right, as you can see, okay, focus on the left hand side, the temperature and the clock speed. Take a look. See, it's hovering around 77 to 78, and the clock speed is trying to sustain 5 gig, but most of the time it's actually below 5 gig. Else for the Montech itself, right, if you look at the temperature and the gigahertz, the clock speed, see, it's hovering 76 to 77 degree and it's maintaining at 5 gigahertz. Take a look at the temperature over here on the motherboard, on my VRMs of the motherboard, the DDR5 RAMs, which is a 32 gig kit. You have two temperature readings over here, and my M.2 drive. If I'm to compare this with this, right, the Montech with Arctic, now take a look. The temperature is so much cooler. As mentioned to you, whatever cooling solution that you can provide on a 7950X, right, your clock speed will be better. So that's the reason why this fan is performing very well, based on the fact that, yeah, it's new in the market. No one knows about this, but after testing, right, I am actually impressed with this Montech fans. There you have it, the Montech Metal 120 PWM. And my final thoughts about this: first thing, the fan is very sturdy, it doesn't wobble. Next, it's very easy to clean, there are no holes. Best part of all, when you stack together, right, it's very neat. And I believe that will channel all the fans itself, right, it will not leak all your airflow. So be it whether intake or exhaust is very strong. And speaking of which, right, why is it so strong? Reason being, when I mentioned that any fans that is 0.15 ampere and does give good static pressure or air pressure, right, that's a performance fans. And for this, right, it has reached my mark, which is 0.12 ampere and pushing so much air. Next will be the rubber grommets on both sides. Well done, Montech. This is to do the anti-vibration. And look at the blades when I swing. See, it doesn't wobble. That's the part. The mechanism of the motor itself is very well done in a way that based on 0.12 ampere, right, it can generate 2000 RPM, which is amazing. Next will be the daisy chain. Just like the Arctic, you have this PST cable, but the only thing is that you will need to do some cable management, as this is 50mm in length. Another thing is that the aesthetic of it, which you can see there's silver lining. Some might like it, some might not. For me, it's just an additional touch where you build your case build, right, or should I say your PC build. It does give some highlight to the fan itself, very subtle. And as mentioned, there's no ARGB, so for those of you who wanted stealthy look, solid black with just silver lining, this is the fan to go. And plus point, this is the most important point, whereby this fan here, right, as I check out on US market and in Europe market, in fact it costs $10 USD. Convert to Singapore dollars is $15. So if you guys out there just want something performance and doesn't want all the ARGB goodness and such, right, you can select this fan. This is definitely a performance fan. Alright, one of you guys have actually asked me on this question via email, why am I using this ruler to take out the packaging? Now if you were to use your finger to grab and pull, right, you will leave the arch. So with this, see, it's like you won't leave a arch over here. So when you grab, right, you imagine that this thing will fall and it will just give you nasty lines. So that's the reason why I'm actually using a ruler to flip it in, take it out. See, it's easy, so that this piece here, right, will not be arched. Okay, this is actually off from the topic, but just to answer one of my viewers who sent me the email. Alright, this is good to go. An excellent performance fan by Montech, known as the Metal 120 PWM. And again, thank you to Montech to have provided the fan to me, and to Block Soda who have actually do the arrangement to send this fan to me. With this said, right, for those of you who are actually new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.